live challenge was themed finding voice. Basically, you switch the camera on any platform of your choice and you let your thought stream come through. And the main thing is to find your own authentic voice. Not the old rehearsed version of yourself, not how you want to sound, not how you want to look. You don't over prepare. There's no filters. There's no script. You're just trying to get through these 20 days. And it's supposed to be messy because the whole point of this is finding my own thread of authenticity and then kind of practicing that. Because, I said in one of the earlier talks, authenticity has to be practiced. You don't get a manual for how to be because you are constantly unfolding. And the reality that we are participating and helping create is also constantly unfolding. It's an emergent reality. And so you actually can't prepare how you're going to show up in any given moment. And all of the models of coherence and social interaction, the operating system that we share collectively, that's unraveling now. That's unraveling. And nobody quite knows how to be in any given moment. Nobody quite knows how to be. So the only thing you can be is your own authentic self and kind of navigate that way. But sometimes you're encountering something that you haven't premeditated, you haven't thought about, you haven't qualified. And all you can do is do it wrong. And in the doing it wrong, you kind of cringe and go, oh, that's not for me. That's not how I roll. And authenticity has to be practiced. You only figure out who you are by making mistakes. Mistakes are how we learn. So that's the general premise of what I'm prattling on about here. There's my lovely wife just joined as well. She's on a run with our toddler somewhere, or she may be home. I'm not tracking very well. So this is day 10 of 20 days, and it's a midway point. It's a good moment for me. It's almost like the first 9 days have elapsed. Easter's just finished. There's a death and rebirth cycle that was symbolized there. It's the start of a new week in the Western world, a Monday. That's when we reorient to our cycles. And I thought it would be a really good opportunity for me to reflect back on my take, on my insights, or what it has felt like, reflecting back on this 20-day life, how it's going so far, what I'm learning, what I'm discovering about myself. And there's five things I wanted to share today. And I'll try to keep them all short. And if I'm prattling, somebody just text on the text stream there and let me know. And please hit me with lots of love hearts. It's not because I need the encouragement, it's because the algorithm, the bastard that it is, that's the only way it knows that this content is not just more content, that it's actually got craft behind it. And this is something that human beings value. So please do your part. Let me see if I can keep you engaged for the next 10 minutes. So the five things I want to share on day 10 of this exercise, that's it. Hit that like button, folks. The first thing that I want to share is familiarity diminishes profundity. We're all chasing a sense of the sacred and the profound. Even if we don't realize it, we want to feel that something special is unfolding in the things that we do and the things that we connect with and the things that we find meaning in. But what we don't realize is I'm sitting out here in the mornings on the front porch, basically, on the corner of where two streets meet. And I'm doing it usually facing that way. And I do a tarot reading and I drink my coffee and I watch the sun come up and I listen to the birds and I reflect on how I'm going to shape my day and what I'm going to do, how I'm going to show up. And in the beginning, it was life-changing. But then after a while, it became, and I don't know what happened. And it's the same as this 20-day challenge. I realized that during that, I was being as authentic as I can be. That's the whole point of this. But at some point in time, this became a chore. I don't mean I was like, oh, fuck, let me go and talk to these people. No, not at all. But subconsciously, anything that you do, even with the best of intent, the nature of you as a human being is such that you're trying to conserve energy and be more present for more things in your life. And inadvertently, whether we mean to or not, even things that are profound and meaningful to us, they just become relegated into a kind of routine and a chore. Now, if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be able to process and parse such complex lives. and such complex relationships and such complex social transactions and interactions with each other. We have to, if we didn't have that, we wouldn't manage this, right? But it is an invitation for me to kind of take the things that I love the most and fast from them or remove myself from them at times so that I can reconnect with that sense of gratitude and that sense of belonging and that sense of meaning that I get from that connection. That could be kissing my wife goodnight, or it could be playing with my daughter, it could be coming on live here, it could be anything that we do. It can begin as profound and it can become a drudgery. Anything that we repeat, we make a job out of. Yeah. So number two, I noticed in myself, when you're tired or you're fatigued or if you're depleted in some way, like, I mean, I go through these states that I call mystical psychosis. It's if I was a different person, you would describe them as bipolar episodes. It's I struggle to calibrate to the world in moments. Sorry, I don't know if let's wait for this siren to pass by. Wowzers. The 5-0 are off somewhere to apprehend baddies. When you're tired or fatigued or stressed or you're depleted in some way, you rely on old default modes that you thought you had outgrown. And you don't do this to be inauthentic. You do it as a sort of coping strategy. And I noticed this in myself. So I came out here a few days completely unprepared because I was supposed to come out here unprepared, but I was energetically and mentally unprepared to have a 10-minute conversation as well. And I have this habit of watching myself. I call it subjective objectivity or objective subjectivity. In fact, there's enough of me, the observer, watching myself behave to be able to judge how I'm rolling and whether I'm being authentic or inauthentic. And it's something I learned in jiu-jitsu. You can kind of watch yourself being in the moment without breaking the flow, just to make tiny minor adjustments and try be a little bit more present. And I noticed in myself that I was speaking in a way that it was an old pattern of speaking. It's kind of lecturing or talking. I talk at, not talk to. And I thought, why the fuck am I doing that? And is this authentic? Is this inauthentic? And it's it's neither of those things. It's just unconscious. And I'm not doing it for any other reason other than I'm a little bit stressed to not quite perform, but to show up. We're trying to show up. And in our desperation is the wrong word, in our eagerness, in our determination to show up and be of service in some way and to deliver the thing that we said we would deliver, we look inside of ourselves unconsciously and we try to find the resources or the mechanism or the authentic, vivacious energy or presence, and we can't find it. And so, in order to not break the promise, not break that social contract, just let me know if the noise is getting too much here, because I've got the garbage truck coming by here now, but the microphone usually suppresses it. In order to not default on that social contract that we're somehow committed to, what we do is we reach unconsciously inside of ourselves for an old default mode of behavior, and we just run that software for a moment. We just run that software for a moment. And if we're in a process of change or evolution as a person, that process can feel deep, can look even to ourselves as inauthentic. Hey, JL, glad you joined me. We're talking about authenticity here and about how when we're tired or we're stressed out, we default to old modes of behavior. And it's not because we're inauthentic, it's because we're trying to cope and we're trying to remain present. It's usually an expression of love, because the only reason you would do that is because you didn't want to drop the ball. You don't want to harm your own reputation in a way that you can't recover it. You don't want to drop the people that are counting on you. So that's number two. Yeah. Number three is, up until then, I'm not a Catholic or a Christian by any stretch of the imagination, but I had decided to observe Lent just because it was in the air. And I thought, why not? I want to see what I can learn from this exercise of fasting from something that I really enjoyed, um, not so that I could deny myself in some puritanical way, but so that I could uh, I could visit very intimately that experience of what it feels like to do something devotional and to then to step back from it and then feel the missing of it. And every time I felt the missing of it, reconnect with my intentionality to live in a devotional way in which the things that I don't need, the things that I just want, I have the ability to fast from them or to put them down or to step away from them at the moment, which is kind of tied to the first one, which was familiarity diminishes profundity. The things that we do regularly, they lose their sacredness and their sense of meaning and their poignance to us simply out of familiarity. And they become like point number two, they just get drilled down into our subconscious habits and behaviors. And we're not actually even present with the idea of sipping my coffee, listening to the birds, grounding in the moment, really savoring the taste. And so that's why I did that. And then when I came back to it, I was doing these live talks. It was around day 6 or day 7 or something like that. And the next thing I suddenly got all zooted and I was talking like Elon Musk at a press conference, and I was just rizzing all over the place. And I watched it afterwards and I thought, what the fuck was that? And then I realized only later that I actually felt anxious, and the anxiety speeds you up because anxiety connects with all of these subconscious ideas of urgency and emergency. And those two things are both about the quality of time changing and becoming quicker and more urgent, more emergent. Something, danger, trouble. I've got to be vigilant. And it's a subconscious thing. And I'm not anxious. But coffee exactly emulates that sensation in my body. And if I'm not present about where the stimulus is coming from, don't I just act anxiously? And then suddenly I'm speaking here from the top of my head, not saying anything interesting, running at 1,000,000 miles an hour, which brings me down to point number 1, 2, 3, 4. Point number 4. Slowing down solves a lot of problems. Slowing down solves a lot of problems. There's a guy called David White whose work that I followed, and he was in an interview recently, and he was saying that he delivered like what do you call it, inspirational guidance kind of talks to leadership all over the world, corporate America, not the least of that. So he's a poet, and he had no business in the boardroom, and there he was talking to them about leadership, something that on the face of it would seem that he would not have a feather in the cap to be able to tell them and teach them anything. And yet he did this for 10 years to sort of tremendous acclaim and applause. And the one thing he noticed and he shared in that interview was when you put somebody on the spot and you make them go out and speak, make them go out and use their voice, it's a very vulnerable thing. And what they do is they actually end up sort of almost standing on their tiptoes, and kind of rocking on their toes, not with their heels on the ground, and their voice and their presence rises above their shoulders, and they speak in a very mental, intense kind of way, and all their voice is up here in their head. Listen to me how I'm speaking. It's fucking boring, right? And it's work. As opposed to when I consciously drop down below my shoulders into my gut and my belly, and I connect more with that sense of experience, and I'm grounding my feet into the floor. Chetan is here. Yes. Chetan, don't forget to hit that like button. Chetan's doing this 20-day life challenge with me, and he's my co-collaborator in the project that I'm running called A Better Way, which we're inviting you all to. And when you drop down below your shoulders, suddenly everything, and you slow down, and you give yourself the chance and the permission to say the things that you meant to say in the way that you wanted to say it. If you were ever going to be relevant or poignant to anyone, surely it's going to be in that mode. Slowing down, slowing down solves a lot of problems because it gives you space to think. It gives you space to reconnect with even the familiar so that you can say, why was I doing this? I was doing it to connect with the profundity. Why am I doing this? Oh, I'm doing this because I'm feeling stressed and anxious and I'm putting myself on the spot and I'm defaulting to old default behaviors and modes that I no longer really resonate with. And we are, each of us, we are who we repeatedly choose to be. So if I'm re-entrenching and reinforcing that behavior and that code, I'm making a casting vote for an older version of myself that I'm now trying to outgrow. So slumming down gives you the space to actually step through even the present moment and then make better choices as to how you want to show up. If there's any such thing as free will, it's not available to us in this here above my ears, rattling off at a million miles an hour, feeling stressed and pressured to reach some sort of imaginary destination that I made up in my head. If I slow down, I can reevaluate all of that. And that brings me to point number 5 now, which is you can have do-overs. You can say the wrong thing. I say the wrong thing to my wife or to my kid, or I say the wrong thing to somebody in the shop. And I suddenly realize and go, fuck, I don't want to be like that. Or what? Oh my gosh, that's an old default behavior. You know what? I'm busy work. So this is what I say. I'm busy working on this shit inside myself. I make it appropriate to the conversation. I don't suddenly, hi, this is what I'm working on in the middle of the store. But I say to somebody, oh my gosh, I can be really unconscious at times. I didn't mean that. What I actually meant to say is thank you very much. I don't need the receipt, but thank you. And I hope that you have a lovely day. It costs me nothing. And there was a moment in my life when I was embarrassed to admit that fault a second ago. And I realized nobody gives a fuck. They either just think what a tool and they carry on with their day, or they reaffirm some belief that they already had in their head. So wait a minute, is today's theme how to be the best TED talker you can? I don't know, but I'm going to work out TED Talks next, and it is on my bucket list, on my to-do list. You can have do-overs with anyone. You can have do-overs about how you ended a relationship, how you finished a conversation, how you responded to somebody's appeal or feedback to you. And the little reminder that I give people is you can treat your life like an actor treats takes. I'm going to try it like this. No, that didn't sound right. Can I have a do-over? Can I do that again? This is actually what I meant to say, and this is how I meant to say it. This is more me, right? And all of these 5 things are related because if you slow down, I'm just going to change this little thing quickly. If you slow down, you become clearer about how you want to speak or show up in a moment, and then you can give yourself the chance to go, fuck, sorry, I did it wrong. This is actually what I meant to say. Who amongst us that we care about in relationship is going to deny us that opportunity? People are only going to think better of you, and you are going to think better of yourself, and you get to take back. It's like having a fork in the road and gone down the wrong one, and you're going, I'm going to go back. Excuse me, I'm coming back to this point, and I just want to have another crack at this. How is that not going to benefit me? So these are the 5 things I learned. Familiarity diminishes profundity. When you're tired or you're fatigued or you're depleted and you put yourself on the spot to show up, you can default unconsciously to old behaviors that you had hoped that you had outgrown. Coffee emulates anxiety, and it's important to be able to tell the difference. Slowing down solves a lot of problems, and you can have do-overs. And there's just one little last piece that I wanted to add about finding your voice, expressing yourself, delivering the message of your body language, the message of your intentionality, the message of your voice. We're all here somehow to be something and to say something and to, even if it's the example that we're trying to set in our lives. And I realized that so much of my talking into the internet, my beautiful writing or my podcasts or the videos, it's great stuff, but it's missing these 2 important requirements for a meaningful vector. Where am I speaking from? And where am I speaking to? So it's got to be intentional and it's got to be directional. And for something to be meaningfully directional, I have to connect with that place that I'm speaking from. in myself. Just have to reset before I say or do anything. I have to check what I've written and go, where are you coming from, dude? What are you trying to sound like? Oh, fuck, what do I care about? I care about my mission on this earth, my mission to share this very high-minded, aligned philosophy that has got such universal application that it seems like an intelligent answer that human beings should be paying attention to, because we're in a moment of terrible strife that we're facing. And this is my gift to the world, is this form of coherence that I can articulate and share in language and models and poems and in video snippets and just as a general philosophy on life. That's my so that. And then therefore, who am I speaking to? I'm not trying to convince everybody on the internet. I need to bring to mind the exact kind of ideal person that I'm trying to reach. Even when you're speaking to somebody that you know the version of them that you're trying to reach and connect to. And if you speak to that person from that place, that's when the connection happens meaningfully, because that's the medium and the vector through which resonance can occur. So it's been a really good reminder on day 10 for me to say, to reflect and to trying to find a way to always make this part and parcel of my engagement, to say, where am I speaking from with my daughter, with my wife, with the person in the shop? What am I trying to bring to this moment? The medium is the message. And if I can stay connected with that, it helps with all of those 5 things I mentioned before, but it also helps with the efficacy, the potency. And we've got so much noise in our lives and in the world, because as much jibber jabber as is going on in my head and my heart all the time, my wife's having her version. You know what I'm saying? My wife's having her version. Our kids having their own version. All of you are all stuck in your own kind of stories and problems and dramas. And then the internet is fucking overwhelming us with noise and drama and jibber jabber and bleating, right? I said to Chetan yesterday, now when the wolves are howling and the flock is maddened, where are the shepherds? Right? Because there's lots of bleating from the sheep and there's lots of howling from the wolves. But you know what's missing from the internet? People who are minded and aligned in their hearts like shepherds, that actually want to steer things just for the sake of enduring this moment in a wholesome, meaningful way. I've a little bit lost my train of thought, but oh my God, what was I prattling on about? Oh yes, if I can connect with that, and I'm trying to operate in this field of constant noise that we've all been stimulated into, the best chance I've got at that is not to talk louder or to say it again like I used to do to my poor wife. I just, oh, you didn't hear me, let me say it again. Let me repeat it more strongly this time, because this assuredly will land. Um, it's that I have to connect with that why inside of me, and I have to connect with the you that I love the most. Sorry about the noise. The clean away truck is doing God's work by picking up the trash in the neighborhood. But the you that I love the most, the 9 of you that are listening here, the you that I love the most is the one that's receptive to this message and that understands that a better future is possible, not just for yourself, but for in every relationship and in humanity. But there's going to be costs to that. And that cost can only be paid by the adult in us, the one in us that chooses the hard, the difficult, the compromise, the frustration, so that we can reach a better outcome, so that we can become better versions of ourselves, so that we can put our arms around those that are vulnerable in the world and help shelter them and reject this sick, toxic, dysfunctional operating system that we've inherited from the world. And it seems idealistic. But somewhere in you, somewhere in each of us, is someone that still has hope for the world, but realizes that that hope can only be ushered, that cross can only be carried by individuals. And we need to find our voice, and we need to find our courage, we need to find our why, our authentic why. None of this can be performative, yeah? And that's the you that I'm speaking to. And when I'm speaking to that version of you, whose bellows I'm trying to pump back into a holy fire so that you can go, fuck yes, and figure out what your fuck yes is in life. The thing that blows your hair back, that makes you excited about getting up in the morning, I want you to find that and go and do that, because the world doesn't need perfect people. It doesn't need everybody solving every problem. It needs people who have come alive and are connecting with their fuck yes and using that as their North Star in the sky, as their compass by which they make all their choices. And when I know that I'm speaking to that part of you, the speech becomes easy. There's no show. I don't have to put on. I can say things wrong and say it again differently because I know exactly where I'm coming from and I know exactly the person that I'm speaking to. And that's what this 10 days has taught me. And then I wonder how many hours of my life and how many cycles I burnt speaking from the wrong place just to nowhere, right? Like a foghorn in a storm. Anyway, that's all I have to say today. The little terror is about to come out here with her mop of blonde hair and stare awkwardly at the camera. Maya! She might come and say hello to all the people and then I'll sign off. But if there's any questions, any comments, remember, just jam those love hearts, people, and share this or come and say hello to the people. Come on. Oh, there we go. There's the weird little face. Hi, everyone. Hi, say happy Easter. Happy Easter. Oh, there we go. Daddy's milking the cuteness for likes. There we go. Internet karma. All right, folks. That's it, man. I'll be back here with day 11 tomorrow. And for any of you who are listening, Chetan and I are welcoming, courageously welcoming people who want to connect with this kind of intentionality, this mature, plain talk, and figure out the tools on how to get the relationships we want, get the versions of ourselves we want, shape our lives a little bit differently in amongst all this reality of mess and unkindness that we're contending with. Join us in a better way so that my wife can finally retire from the drudgery that she's doing, and I can feel that my work is connecting in the world and getting traction. And there's more than just me trying to build a raft and ride out the storm that we all know is coming. But that's it, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being part of this chat today. It was a good one. It was a good one. Love you guys. Take care. Bye.